Hello everyone. It is just after midnight on the. Am I focused here? I'll try that there. Just after midnight on the morning of the 25th of June, and I want to do a quick vlog update on a potentially quite exciting thunderstorm forecast for parts of Ireland and Northern Ireland for Thursday evening and night into the early hours of Friday morning. It appeared we've been watching this for several days on the models, and it's been trending that a potential exciting severe weather event could be on the cards. It's a complicated setup. There's a lot of ifs and buts about it, and some negative issues with the forecast and synoptics. But if some of these negatives can be overcome, we could have quite a substantial severe weather event, an event that's actually quite rare for Northern Ireland. At the moment, Convective Weather have issued a moderate risk across Northern Ireland, especially in the west, with a severe box over a good portion of the country. Excuse me, just having a brew here. And it's in general, it's a complicated forecast because the majority of these storms will be elevated in nature. There's a small chance of some surface-based convection earlier in the evening to the west, but eventually everything's going to evolve into elevated type storm modes. But what's interesting about it is the shear is very strong, varying greatly from 40 to 60 knots of deep layer shear. There's great humidity, massive CAPE values, anywhere from 1,000 to some of the more extreme models are showing values over 2,000, and lifted index up to -4, -5, even to -7 on the higher res models. It's kind of like a Spanish plume, although Spanish plume is not the proper terminology. It's a different kind of setup, although the actual idea of that is the same. It's an elevated, unstable mixed layer at the mid levels of the atmosphere, so storm bases will be elevated, they'll be very high in the sky. Storms which are elevated tend not to be affected by solar heating. If there's sufficient shear aloft, they can travel a long distance and become very organised, and because of their very high bases, their tops can generate electrical activity very quickly, and those lightning discharges tend to be very powerful and very frequent. So if any of you remember some of the most vicious lightning storms in your memory in Ireland, Northern Ireland in the past, especially if you remember the 1985 event, I think it was 85 or 86, that's an elevated thunderstorm. So these storms look to potentially become severe, and according to convective weather, they may even have supercellular characteristics and eventually morphing into a mesoscale convective system, or MCS. I'm just going to read you what Toro wrote here. Toro just updated it tonight. It's very unusual for Toro to update the night before setup. They usually do it on the day, a few hours ahead of target or initiation. So this is interesting. Just very quickly, here's what Paul Knightley wrote. Evening folks, more detail tomorrow, but we will be watching the risk of severe thunderstorms tomorrow and Friday. The highest risk tomorrow is across Ireland and Northern Ireland, perhaps with supercells, with large hail, with Western Scotland perhaps also in the mix for severe storms later and tomorrow overnight. And it continues on. But it also says, details are hard to give, and certainly it's not impossible to pick a location and say yes or no. As always, some places won't get anything. So that's from Toro. That's quite a statement from Toro there from Northern Ireland. And we'll move on to convective weather. They have a large synoptic forecast issued here covering all different parts of the UK, Scotland and Ireland, but I'm going to go to Northern Ireland here in Ireland to read you out what it says here, just for posterity, just in case, whether this actually happens or not. I just want to put this on the record because it's an exciting forecast. Northern Ireland stroke Republic of Ireland. Okay, I'll get to the good part. Okay, during Thursday morning may bring both an increase in mid-level cloud and perhaps a few elevated showers or thunderstorms into southeast Ireland by the early afternoon, with continuing to lift north with time. Even if this elevated convection is not deep enough to produce lightning, the additional cloud cover spilling north may have some negative impact on surface heating. Assuming the cloud is not too extensive and or fairly broken, diurnal heating could yield 500 to 1000 kilojoules of CAPE by the afternoon and evening hours. Profiles look capped to surface-based convection initially, but mid-level cooling and lift associated with the aforementioned shortwave could lead to scattered thunderstorms erupting during the evening hours, if not earlier, especially in the vicinity of the Central Plain, which is right over the middle of Northern Ireland. Similar to Western Scotland, albeit with profiles slightly more VBV, for a few hours the environment would be favourable for cell organisation and possibly supercells capable of producing large hail up to 3 to 4 centimetres in diameter, frequent lightning and strong outflow gusts. A severe has been issued primarily for the risk of locally damaging hail and flash flooding. This will be dependent on sufficient surface heating, otherwise surface-based convection may struggle to initiate. Either way, stronger forcing aloft will arrive towards mid-evening, and so thunderstorms are likely to become more numerous and increasingly elevated, especially across central Northern Ireland, and eventually drifting northwards, offshore over the Atlantic and towards the Hebrides, with several thunderstorms potentially trailing over similar areas. This will bring the risk of local flooding. Most storms will generally drift to the north or north-northwest, but if mid-level rotation becomes strong enough, may deviate more to the northeast. This is quite a forecast from convective weather there. They actually have Northern Ireland in the moderate risk box, and they have a severe box centred on the west side of the country. So in a nutshell, from looking at the models and from chatting with the guys here and doing a lot of chatting late tonight, this is generating a great deal of excitement. I'm chatting here with Paul Martin, Nigel McFarlane, John Fagan. I'm also chatting with Owen Anderson. I'm chatting with Kenneth McDonough from Donegal Winter Channel. I'm chatting with Noel Keating, and Colleen Webb's been in contact there as well, and there's a few others too. I can't remember the name. Scott Haynes. There's quite a few other people interested in storms in this country are going crazy for this, and the excitement, the hype is really high now. So I'm currently waiting late tonight for the forecast from EastOFX to see their take on it, and an update from Toro in the morning, and of course NetWeather as well to see what they have to say. But I'm watching the models here, I'm chatting with the guys, they're swapping models, swapping plans, but it seems to be, now this all could change, but there seems to be potential, maybe the west of Northern Ireland in the evening time, there may be some thunderstorms breaking out later in the day if the heating can get going. These might be surface based and then change into elevated, but I'm hoping if that happens to get on those storms in the west and follow them and keep track of them, then as the night evolves, I'm hoping a large elevated storm will blow up over the west of Ireland, or preferably over the western seaboard. This could be a supercell or a mesoscale convective system. Actually, some of the models are showing two mesoscale convective systems, one to the west and one to the east. The eastern storm coming up later in the night, up the Irish Sea and moving inland into Dublin and on up to County Down in Northern Ireland at dawn. So that's the second option. So that looks like quite a large MSC. Sorry, MCS. I'm getting tired tonight. But the other one on the west is the one I'm planning on targeting. It's an area I know well, the roads are good, there's good viewing prospects in that area. In the past has produced a lot of goods for me, especially recently. I've been in Mullinmore last Sunday and I produced the goods too. It's a great spot. So the plan is, if that looks to be the case and the models don't change, then I'll probably end up either on the west coast or the north coast. The north coast would be favourable later if these storms do fire move north. They may produce some prolific lightning, and you may see them over the sea as they move off, and especially storms away to the northeast towards Scotland. So there's ample opportunity there for night lightning. But if the big storms in the west do form, I could end up in Donegal or Mullinmore and Sligo on the west coast watching these storms fire and see what happens after that. So it could be a long day. These storms could go well into the night, and there's a chance that eastern mesoscale convective system could be arriving over the border into Northern Ireland at sunrise the following day. So I'd like to be able to see what's ahead of that too. So it looks like quite an interesting setup. The problem is these setups are rare in this country. They're extreme setups by our standards, but you have to. It's exciting, but you have to try to temper that excitement because things can go wrong. These big forecasts tend to not work out much of the time. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they don't. And it's important to keep a check on the excitement levels, although it's very hard to do when you read some of the text from these experts. But yeah, so I'm up here tonight. I'm studying everything. I'm probably not going to get much sleep tomorrow or tonight. It's quite exciting, and I'm going to get as much information until as I can. Chat with the guys, and I'll hit the road tomorrow. It could be on my own, or it could be teaming up with one or two guys. I don't know what's happening yet, but either way, I'm definitely chasing. Definitely, this so far this is the event of the year, or perhaps even the last 10 years or more. With a bit of luck, it'll happen. If it doesn't happen, it'll be a damp squib. It'll be a big flop. Maybe capping inversion or the cloud cover might kill it, or might just turn out to be a rain event with a few rumbles. It's one of those setups which can only go two ways, one of two ways, and that is a complete damp squib or epic. No in between. So hopefully it's the epic side of things. But I'm positive. I'm optimistic. 2020 seems to be doing a good job of producing the goods here, and Northern Ireland is starting to show off in spectacular fashion for great quality storms in the recent last week or so. So I'll leave it at that. I'll check the models in the morning, and with luck, I'll hit the road. I've got the batteries all charged. There are three DSLRs charged, the drone's charged. I've checked all my tripods. I've cleaned the lenses. I've cleaned my telephoto lens. I've got the van repaired. I had a broken spring on it that's getting fixed, and just had a service done on new brakes. And I had new tires recently too, so all's good. I've done my engine checks and all that. Tomorrow I'll just fill up with food supplies and water and take it from there and see what happens. So fingers crossed to get to see some cool storm action. I'm pretty pumped up for this. Okay.